All right, 3 o'clock, just so we're mindful of the time. Welcome. This is Banish Meeting Scaries with Riva and Never Miss a Meeting Again, hosted by our wonderful sponsor, Riva. We're going to go through a few housekeeping slides first. Everyone is muted upon entrance to the webinar. Please use the official Q&A feature to have any questions that you have. The presenters will address them at the end of the session. We are recording this so that you can watch this at a later time through the conference site. And if you're able to, please adjust your Zoom name and add your institution to it. I'm really excited now to have Riva here as a long-standing academic advisor. A tool like this would have been super helpful when managing my meeting schedules for my advisees. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to turn it over to Riva. Here you go.
Great. Thanks so much, Jen. If you want to go progress to the next slide, please, Ken. So quick agenda. We're going to do some intros. We're going to talk a little bit about the SIG and Riva partnership. We're going to talk about improving in student and advisor experience. And then what are the next steps? I'm going to take you through introducing the presenters. From the SIG side of things, we've got Brent Mello, who is the Executive Vice President of Strategic Alliances and Marketing at SIG. He's been in the industry for over 35 years. He is a Salesforce trailblazer, a member of the Salesforce ecosystem for 23 years. He's 10 times Salesforce certified, including Education Cloud. He previously ran the Salesforce division of SIG, and we're really, really excited to have you here today, Brent. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
Also going to introduce Ken Lorenz. Ken Lorenz is Riva's VP of Global Sales and my boss. Ken works very closely with our global sales team, as well as managing all of our partnerships and alliances. He's a CRM and ERP veteran with over 30 years experience. And we're happy to have you join us as well, Ken. Thank you. And finally, my name is Becky Timmons. I've been with Riva for about 7.5 years. I work with customers with a focus on higher education customers to take them from discovery into a successful implementation of Riva. I have some experience working with higher ed institutions and training companies prior to joining Riva. So at Riva, we have learned there are two bad experiences that can occur in higher ed relative to your students and advisors. Students like Juan, who do not like missing appointments that he needs in order to have with his advisor to be successful. He doesn't want to have to constantly reschedule because of missed appointments. For advisors like Anna, she feels terrible having to reschedule, and this happens because of double bookings. And sometimes she feels like she's letting her students down. Next slide, please, Ken. So why does this happen? Even though the Student Success Hub portal is tied directly to the Salesforce calendar, where Anna allocates her advising time, her email calendar is not connected. Internal meetings like staff meetings and personal appointments on her Outlook calendar do not make their way over to Salesforce. We'll talk about this in a little bit more detail further on in the presentation, but ultimately, having these two calendars not talking to each other leaves gap and rooms for double booking. At the end of the day, Anna does not even have an accurate view of what her day looks like, and Juan does not have an accurate view of Anna's availability to book that advising time. I'm going to hand the mic over to Brent to talk a little bit about why SIG and Riva have decided to partner.
Yeah, thanks, Becky, and thank you, and Ken, as well, for being a sponsor of SigConnect 2024 and being a great partner. Part of our role at SIG is to help clients with challenges. They don't really care if it's a Salesforce problem or an ERP problem or an Outlook problem. It's just a problem, and they want a solution that works. And one of the things we do at SIG is we vet solutions, and we spend a lot of time in the ecosystem trying to understand what's out there, what works, what just works, and what is a good solution that our clients are going to be happy with. And for everybody that's dialed in, or listening to the conference, what I can tell you is I've known Becky and Ken for some years now, and we worked, a number of projects, and the solution just works. And so that's one of my criteria when we're talking about calendaring, whether it's an admissions counselor or a student success counselor or any other type of scheduling appointments, and there are numerous calendaring events. It just needs to work and it needs to be easy. So that's number one. Number two is Riva takes care of the setup and the training around their solution. And so it is a white glove service. It will be, tailored to your organization for everything from, what are the type of calendars, and what are the platforms they're on, and what are the time slots available, what are the shifts we're trying to make available. But I am a big fan of things that I don't have to worry about. And the bigger the projects get, it seems like the more likelihood you're going to run into some unknown and unforeseen circumstance. And there are a lot of calendaring solutions out there, but Riva seems to have kind of cornered the market in terms of covering every little dimension and angle of the problems you might run into. So we were really proud the first time we did a Riva project, and we keep going back to them as, this is the solution for tying together staff and their calendars and what they want their calendars to be, and making those calendars accessible not only within the organization, but to prospective students and students and alumni and the like. So again, thanks Ken and Becky for being here today, and I know the group will enjoy hearing a little bit more about the solution.
Great.
Absolutely. And thanks for that, Brent. And just to highlight a little bit, why does Riva have this relationship with Salesforce? About 6 or 7 years ago, Salesforce came to us with this problem that we're about to talk about. And the reason that they selected Riva to help fill this gap had everything to do with our ability to scale and deal with very complex calendar issues, as you mentioned. And so Becky's going to talk about this here in a little bit, but ultimately Salesforce asked us to help fill this gap for them. And we've been doing a great job in enjoying it and enjoying our partnership with SIG as well. Becky, back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ken. So let's talk a little bit more information about Riva. Riva has been a provider of a calendar synchronization solution for over 15 years. We initially cut our teeth in the financial services industry, where security and compliance are just as important as they are in higher ed. We've worked with more than 30 higher education institutions, and that number continues to grow to help drive student and advisor success, which leads to better student retention. We've got over 17 different nationalities represented on staff, including, I think we're up to 20 different languages spoken. And our largest client syncs over 50,000 calendars in near real-time sync. So if scalability is something that you're worried about, or you've got a bigger institution, it's not a problem with Riva. We are scalable and can be deployed in any size organization. One of the first educational clients who successfully implemented Riva was the University of Virginia. They came to us because they needed a way to prevent advisors from having to manually enter information into two systems, but they also needed a solution that supported reoccurring meetings. Riva enabled the advisors to do what they do best, spend their time advising students. Without having to do that duplicate entry, it just worked for them. Next slide, please, Ken. We're going to take you through a couple of different experiences and how you can improve your advising and student experience while using Riva. So let's go back to, if you remember, Juan and Ian. So Juan is a freshman student. It's his first time away from home. He needs to be able to book time with his advisor to ensure that he's on the right path. He's booked multiple appointments with Anna, and every time he's gone to her office for the meeting or showed up on the online meeting, she's not there. She's either at an department meeting, at a personal appointment, or out of the office for the afternoon. Anna's one of the best advisors on campus, so he doesn't know why this keeps happening to him. He's heard great things about her, so he's concerned, and he decides to kind of talk to his dean and say, hey, what's going on with this? Why is this happening? On the other side of things, Anna is equally as frustrated, because every time she misses an appointment, or has to reschedule, it's for a legitimate reason. And it's very well documented in her Outlook calendar. So now the very technology that is meant to help keep her students, help her manage and keep her students successful is causing chaos in her life. And she feels like she is failing in her role and that she's failing her students. This continues to happen with multiple students. And finally, her dean, Dean McDonald, reaches out and says, Anna, we need to have a conversation about this. He's also hearing about the missed appointments and the fact that everything needs to be rescheduled. And he's got unhappy students, which is not good for the university. Next slide, please, Ken. So for this next slide, we're going to take you through a bit of the day in the life, or the next part, a demo essentially without a demo. So what we're going to go through here is Anna actually goes in and she sets her advising time or advising shift. As a seasoned advisor, Anna knows that if she does not block it, a student will book it. It doesn't matter if it's a holiday or she's out of the office or at a personal appointment. When a student sees that slot, they're going to go ahead and grab it if it is not already blocked and predetermined for advising time. Riva is then going to harmonize those two calendars. So when Juan logs into the student success portal, it's as simple as him grabbing a time that works for him. The time is set. Juan knows this, Anna knows this, and everybody is happy. We're also going to spend a little bit of time talking about how life happens, and Anna has other responsibilities like internal meetings, personal meetings, or those personal appointments. So Ken is now going to take you through how Riva can seamlessly handle these and take away those meeting scaries or those calendar scaries. Go ahead, Ken.
Perfect. Thanks, Becky. So let's dig in a little bit deeper. So with Student Success Hub and Education Cloud, Anna's able to go in either through Outlook or through Salesforce itself and set up advising time, or with the new Education Cloud, she's able to create her shifts in the Education Cloud itself, which helps identify the times that she's making herself available to students. So that's great. And now that information gets synchronized with her Outlook or Gmail calendar, in theory, everything gets harmonized together, whether it's her shifts that she's available, her advising appointments, or other meetings that are scheduled on her Outlook or Gmail calendar, like personal appointments, other school business, etc. Now, that sounds really simple, but there's a fair amount of complexity here, and I want to go down a little bit deeper into this. So without synchronization at all, Juan would go through the portal, and that would give him visibility to Anna's schedule in Salesforce. On this day in particular, Anna's got 2 student meetings, but what it looks like to Juan is she's got availability all day except for those 2 blockers. Now, the dean wants to meet with her as well, but the dean doesn't have access to Salesforce. The dean actually looks at her Outlook and Gmail availability. And what he sees is an internal meeting and a personal appointment on her calendar, but he doesn't even see the student meetings showing up. So to him, she's got some pretty good availability today that he could grab. Obviously, these 2 together don't represent her truth of her calendar. So let's take it the next step further. If we did just simple synchronization, where we took the busy items from both calendars and synchronized them, we get a little different view for both Juan and for the dean, where the dean would see blockers for the student meetings as well as the internal and personal appointments, same as Juan. But that's not the real picture. The real picture is that Anna has set up her advising time and shifts. So the white space on the Juan side of this diagram is what's available for him to pick from, including the student meetings that are blocked. So now we see 2 small spaces that are available for him. The dean sees the internal meeting, and I'll talk about the busy meeting in a second. But now we get Anna's true availability for Juan, which are those 2 open slots. And we see the true open availability for the dean, these 3 open spots. And one additional point that I'll make here is her personal appointment she privatized with Riva. So when that meeting came into Salesforce, it just shows as busy, but no details that she's actually going to the dentist, because nobody needs to know that. So this is the way that Riva harmonizes the calendar, not just syncing up what's busy, but also syncing up what's available for time shifts and advising. So ultimately, now Juan's able to go to the portal and see her true availability and book a time with confidence that's going to be available on her calendar. So if we go back to our diagram, now we see Riva is that glue that sits between the Salesforce event calendar and her mail calendar that makes it all possible. So ultimately, we get two great experiences. Juan doesn't miss appointments. He doesn't have to reschedule. He gets the help that he needs. And Anna doesn't have to feel that like she's disappointing her students. Instead, she's delighting her students. So that's the nuts and bolts of it. We did want to share with you a little bit of extra credit. There are some additional pieces of functionality that Riva is working on outside of our current solution for education. And so everybody's seen safe harbor statements before. This is our safe harbor statement. Make decisions based on currently shipping product. But what I wanted to do is maybe open up the door a little bit to some additional things that we're working on that would make sense in an education environment. So one of the things that we're doing is working on email templates. Now, what can we use these templates for if I'm an advisor? If I've got standard information that I want to get out to my students, the ones that I advise specifically, I can use these templates to write it once and then send it out to all my advising students in one shot. We're also doing what we're calling our co-pilot email assistant that helps me write better emails to my students. We know all students, and a lot of people are using ChatGPT these days. Now this is incorporated into helping me craft better emails. An additional thing that we're doing is something called email bursts. And the idea here is I want to email all of my students the same message, but I want separate emails to go to each one of them. Email bursts help me do that and make my communication much more effective to the students. And if you're going to do email bursts, you might want to think about analytics. Now, we're not marketing to students here, but we do want to understand what emails are they opening, which emails are they clicking through, or are they just deleting them? Gives us a little better visibility to whether or not they're paying attention to what we're sending. And maybe we want to see those analytics showing up in Salesforce. So those are just a few examples of some of the things we're working on. We also have a separate booking solution that would be ideal for other people within the organization, let's say outside of the advising group, who have struggles and want to be able to book meetings internally or externally and take away some of that friction. So those are some of the few things that we're working on. And at that point, I'm going to take a pause and answer any questions that we've got.
Great, Ken. We actually do have a couple. Somebody asked, we don't use Salesforce, but this would help us. Do you support this technology for any other systems?
That's a great question, Becky. So we do have other CRMs that we support today. However, our technology lends itself to integrating to other solutions that are in the education market as well. So if we don't support your current CRM, we certainly can look at what we can do to do that with our connectors.
Perfect. Another question about is a two-part question. How much for the calendar connection for the advisor and the student, and what about the additional product that Ken showed? I'll take that one. So we have a predetermined predetermined package for our education customers, already heavily discounted. So for the Riva for Education Cloud or Student Success Hub, our list price is about $10 per user per month billed annually. In terms of the other functionality, we would it is a different price point, but we would absolutely extend an educational discount on that. We've got another one asking, how do you accommodate part-time advisors? That's a great question. What we do is we just match to, in the Salesforce instance, we match to the Salesforce SKU. So we simply just cut the cost in half for those part-time advisors. And implementation time. We run our Riva for Education customers as a managed project. So it's done on an SOW with our dedicated education team. And we usually tell people to plan for about 6 to 8 weeks from discovery to go live. And I think that's it, unless there's anything else. No, that's it. I'd like to, again, thank everybody for joining us. And please reach out anytime. I think we've got a contact us slide at the end there. There's a QR code there. Please go ahead and scan it. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Even if there's something that we didn't touch on today that you think that we might be able to help with, please reach out and we'd love to work with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Wonderful.
Ken and Becky.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day and conference next time.